Okay, so I think we can start and people can keep joining. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining the webinar. And this one is about using Byteline web scraper. We recently launched the Chrome extension for our web scraper. And I thought this is the right time for this webinar so that we can show both the Chrome extension and Byteline web scraper working together. And by the way, so I'm Devender Singh. I'm founder of Byteline. And just a day or two back, I got this sore throat just in time for this webinar. So the sore throat is gone, but my voice is a little bit off. Uh, okay, so let's start. Okay, here is the agenda for today's webinar, how a web scraper works. So I'll just explain at a high level how this web scraper works. And then we'll jump into the more interesting part where I can show the Byteline, make it working on through Byteline console and the Chrome extension. And then once the data is scraped, I will also show how we can easily export it into any Byteline integration. So for example, Airtable or Google Sheets or any other integration. But for this demo, I'm just gonna cover Airtable plus Google Sheets. And then at the end, we are gonna jump into Q&A. So if you have any question while I'm presenting, you can just use Zoom's Q&A section. So post your question and then I'll answer them at the end. And I also have few questions that were left while people did registration for this webinar. So we'll cover all that in the Q&A section. Okay, so so this is just a simple slide to explain how it all works. So we have Byteline console on one side, which is a web interface where users can come and configure their Byteline flows. So the web scraper is configured, is added as a task node in one of the flows. And then you use web scraper Chrome extension to help with the configuration. So basically Chrome extension is where you can pick and choose which elements you want to scrape. And then so this is a process that you use. So first you use the Chrome extension to pick up the elements. So you specify the X path of the elements which you want to scrape, and this is very easy to do. I'll show you, like in the Chrome extension is just point and click. And then once it's copied through the Chrome extension, you come to the Byteline console, and there you can just use those X paths. And once web scraper is configured and you run it, so the scraping happens on Byteline servers. So we'll scrape the data, and now that data will be available for you to consume in any of the integrations. So wherever you want to export that data, you can easily do through Byteline flow. Okay, so now let's just jump into the demo part, because I'm sure that is more interesting than just looking at the slides. Okay, I'm gonna bring my browser onto the screen. Okay, so this is the Byteline console, and I have already logged in into an account. And when you log in for the first time, you only see this default flow. I mean, just to show how flow works and all that. But in this case, we are gonna scrape Coinbase site. So this is Coinbase. So this is basically about crypto coins reporting their prices and all that. So we're gonna scrape. We'll go to the price section, and we're gonna scrape this table. So it has all the coins, so their name, this is symbol or ticker symbol, this is a price and change. So we're going to scrape these 4 values from this table for each of the coins. So this is just to demonstrate what we are doing, but you can use the same thing on any of the web pages. It doesn't matter whether it's cryptocurrencies or whether it's a job board. I mean, it's just the same concept that you use to scrape the data. So we're gonna scrape from here and then we will export it into Airtable. Okay, so let's create our flow. So I'm gonna name it Coinbase to Airtable. And these are all the triggers. So for this case, let's say that we're gonna run it on a scheduled basis. So I'm gonna pick a scheduler. Scheduler is the first node. So the first node of any flow is the trigger node. So basically, what it means is that how your flow will be triggered. And for the configuration of the scheduler, I'm just gonna say, okay, run it every Sunday at 1:01 p.m. Okay, let's save it. Um, and now the next node we're gonna do is web scraper. Here is the web scraper. Now if you click on the edit section, so here is the page that opens, and this is where you configure what data you want to scrape. Now to help with the data to configure here, we're gonna use the web scraper Chrome extension. So here, so I have already installed the Chrome extension. If you can see where my cursor is, so this icon is of Byteline web scraper, and this Chrome extension is already available in Chrome Web Store, so you can easily download it. It's a free extension. Um, so you just click on that, and it just provides you some information on how to use it and enable it. And when it's enabled, the icon turns to blue, indicating that the scraper is or the Chrome extension is enabled. And now the way it works is, so as you keep moving your cursor, it's gonna highlight which element is currently under the cursor. And in this case, we want to scrape this name, so you just double click on it, and it gives you these three options. Copy text is like if you just want to copy the text. Copy link is for like buttons or anchor points where you want to copy the actual link. And then the third one is rich text. So this is sometimes web pages, for example job boards, so they might have like a big description, and they have like it might be in the formatted way, right? So like some of the text is bold or headings and all that. So using rich text, you can also copy the text section including its format. Okay, so, but in this case we are just gonna stick with copy text. And now once that is done, so we'll come here, and if you see this black box, so all you have to do is just paste the value here, and then use add array field. And so let me spend a minute or so to explain difference between array fields and scalar fields. So on this page, or on any page actually, so if there is repeating elements, so for example elements that are part of table structure, so in this case like we have all these rows of the same table, so it's a repeating structure, so there we will use array fields. But if you see something like this value, market is down, so this is indicating how much market is down today, and it's only single field on the whole page, so this is scalar. Okay, but in our case, because we are doing for the table, so we used add array field. So we already did name, so now let's do the sticker symbol. We again gonna go here, so you just keep doing the same thing. So you select whatever element you want to scrape, and then come here, paste it, and then click add array field. And now if you see here, so it added these two fields here, and then this iterable path is basically uh, because it's repeating elements, so it's indicating where we want to repeat. So this is a table row, and you don't have to manually specify that. This tool, that's what this tool is for, so this will take care of all that. So now this one was name, and this is ticker, and then this all this data will be available as coins. So this is the name of the JSON field with which the data will come. and then all so this is a JSON array, and each element will have data about each coin. So now let's get some more data. So we want to scrape the price. So add that, and we want to scrape the change, add that, right? So we have this one. So this is price, and this is change. Okay, so we got these four fields, and as indicated by this label here, so it means this, we are going to scrape the text element, and now depending upon whether if it's link or something, it will show the then it will show link or rich text depending upon whatever you have selected. And then other thing we have missed is the URL. So let's copy the URL. That's gonna go here. And then we have this field. It's a scalar field which comes by default. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so that's our web scraper configuration. So just the URL and the elements that we want to scrape. So once that is done, save this data. Okay, so now we have just these two elements. So now let's deploy it and do a test run, because we want to make sure that everything, all the data is what we expected. So just give it like, maybe like 15-20 seconds to do the scraping. So right now the scraping is running on our servers. So there is nothing on your browser or nothing on the local machine. So, and then when you use it with the scheduled flow, it will just keep on running in the background. Okay, so let's see what happens. Something. Okay, let me just retry it. Sometimes it behaves a little bit strange. Okay, so this, yeah, this time is successful. Yeah, I'll look into that bug. I mean, why that happened. But so now the scraper worked out fine, and here are all the coins that we have. So see, like the coins is the field that we named it. So it's like whatever name you give is gonna come out like that. And then these are all the fields that we extracted for each coin. Okay, so the name, ticker, price, and change, everything is here for all the coins. Okay, so now let's go back. So now let's add, let's export this data into Airtable. So we're gonna pick this node which is called Airtable update records. Um, and now let's configure this. And for the first thing we need is, if you see this message, no Airtable connection exists. So we're gonna configure that. So I just clicked on that link, and that will take you here. For case of Airtable, we need API key, Airtable's API key, and I have a tab open here. So if we just go to the account, so on the account page on Airtable, we have this key. So let's copy that. We'll save this value. Okay, so now let's go back to our flow, and now if I click on the edit button, so now it will show Airtable connection. This is connected. So the next thing we need is the base ID that we want to connect to. And the way you get that is, and all this is in our documentation as well. So if you go to any task node configuration, so on the bottom right, we have this tech docs. So you click on that, and it has all the details on how to configure a task node. Now for getting the base ID, So what you have to do is um, you have to go to this URL airtable.com/API, and this is in our document. And I'm going to work on this webinar base. So you just click on the base, and then the ID is like just on this page. So you just copy that and then come here, paste it. And then just to show the my setting on Airtable, let me get rid of this tab. So this is my Airtable account. Now let's go to webinar, and this is my base. And I have just one table, crypto, and it has 4 columns: name, ticker, and this is the price and the percentage change. Now these two are the first 2 columns are just text columns, and this one, price is, I mean, dollar value, it's a number, and the percentage change is percentage field. So both are number based fields. Okay, so the way we configure is, so you just type in the table name, and then as you tab, it's going to auto complete the, or auto populate the column names. So these are all the columns that we have. Now the next important part of this configuration is the loop over field. So loop over is basically you are configuring that that this task should be executed for each element of a loop over field. So loop over fields are always arrays. So you can pick any JSON array as a loop over field. So then this task will be executed for each element of that array. So this is a bit different than how I think our competitors are doing. They what they do is, like, within the flow you have to create like some aggregator node and then merge node or something like that. I mean, it makes a complicated flow just to handle the loops. But in our case, it's just one field, and the way you do that is just check this. And now we can specify the web scraper that coins output from web scraper here. And so there are multiple ways of specifying that. So one way is you can use this icon on the right. So if you click that, so this dialog opens up, and it shows you for this flow what all the input values are there, what are the output values of different nodes. So in this case, the web scraper node is before the Airtable node, so we can use output from that web scraper node here. We want to use this coins field. So one way is, I can, if I just click on this, it's gonna copy it to that loop over text box. But I'm going to show you even better way of doing that. And then on the third tab, I mean, just to complete the explanation of this screen, is all the functions that you can use. So let's get rid of this. So what you do is, like, you come over here, and then you start typing the name of the field. I mean, if you remember a little bit what you named it. So in my case, I did coins. So you can just, like, in the autocomplete options, you just pick that value. And for the loop over, all the autocomplete options that are shown, they are all JSON arrays. So it's not gonna show you anything else which is not compatible for loop over. So you select this, and now we go into configuring the each of these columns. So the first one is ticker. So again, I mean, we can use that. And then so when we selected that, so see, its value changed to at dot. So what this means is, at dot is only applicable for loop overs. So it means is, like, we want to use this ticker value for the for the element that's being currently iterated. So like so we are iterating over this coins element. So say it has 10 objects underneath it. So then for each loop, so it's going to loop over 10 times, and for every loop it's going to pick a different ticker value based on the element at that iteration point. Okay, so that was ticker. So now let's pick price, and then change, and then here is the name. Okay, so this, I just used autocomplete for all of them, but just to show you, if I just come out of this, you can use this tool. So here is the name. So if you just click on that, so it's gonna fill the value here. Okay, so that's the so we have configured all the columns for our Airtable. But now if you remember, in the Airtable, the price and change columns, those are number based columns, so they won't take string. And in case of web scraper, because this is all web scraper data, so everything is a textual data, so these are not like numbers. And the way to change these to number is, all you have to do is go here, and then we also have functions which you can just directly type it here. So there is a number function, and it's also shown in autocomplete option, and then you just select there. So this one, it will convert the string values into numbers, and the same thing we want to do for change. And then this number function is I mean, intelligent enough to figure out that this is a dollar value and this is a percentage value, so it will convert it into the right format. Okay, so now our Airtable configuration is complete. So we have base ID, table, a loop over, and then all the columns are configured. So let's save it, then we're gonna deploy again. So whenever you make change to your flow, you have to redeploy it. And then now let's run it. So we are running it from the console. This is just for testing. But once your flow is configured and it runs well, then it's just gonna keep on running in the background based upon your scheduler settings. Yeah, so let's give it like few seconds to complete. Web scraper node is complete. So let's see the data that we got. So again, the same data we got, and then Airtable. So Airtable is also successful. So now let's go into our Airtable table. So see, now all this table has been populated, and all the values, name, ticker, so these are text values, and these are numbered values. So see, they are all in the right format, and here are the percentages. So the that number function that I showed you, it knows like how to convert, it knows whether it's a dollar value, a percentage value, or even if it's like a million or or billion. I mean, it understands all those notations, and it will convert it into in the right format. So that's what our integration with Airtable was. And if you see the output of this Airtable node, it also shows you how many inserts it has done. Now let's go back to the flow. And then there are also some advanced settings that you can leverage for the Airtable integration. So you can also specify if you want to, so how to handle if the row is already there. So in that case, you can either skip updates, which is the default setting, or you can also pick like, I want to override the row. And then override when. This column can be used to specify that I only want to override the row if this condition is true. Okay, and then also there is a section on what to do if the data is deleted in source. So meaning the data is in Airtable, but it's not in the source data. So this will usually happen with like job boards or something like that, where when they took out the job, and then how you want to handle that on the Airtable side. Okay, so let's close this. Okay, so that's our we got the data from web scraper and we exported into Airtable. So now let's do the same thing again, but now instead of using Airtable, we'll export to Google Sheets. So what I can do is, instead of changing this flow, I'm just gonna clone this flow and just change this last task node. So you can go over here and click on clone. So this one will be, so Coinbase to Google Sheets. So we're gonna get rid of the Airtable node, and instead we will add Google Sheets update values. Okay, so the way to configure this is, so you go to the again you click the edit button, and then it has these settings. So with Google Sheets, so the way we configured Airtable is through the API key, but Google Sheets, it supports OAuth integration. So all you have to do is just sign in into Google Sheets, just click on this button, and then you select the account, give the permissions. Then it shows this message: if the authentication is success, please close this browser tab. So we're gonna close this, and we'll go back to our this screen. And now here you can just click on refresh so that it can detect the connection. So now our connection to Google Sheets is done. And for this one, uh, so I'm gonna pick a spreadsheet from my account, and I'm gonna use this one, crypto. So right now this sheet is empty. So the first thing you have to do is copy the spreadsheet ID, and this is also again in our documentation, as in, like, how to capture the Google Sheets ID. So you copy that and come back here. So this is the spreadsheet ID. Now the next setting is clear values from the spreadsheet. So now in my case, it's a blank spreadsheet, but say you have some data in the spreadsheet and you want to override that data, or you want to clear the existing values from the spreadsheet. So you can check this setting, but I don't need that. So I'm gonna just take it out. And again, we have loop over. So it's the same thing that we did for Airtable. So we're gonna use the coins field. And now here, we need to configure the what columns we want in the spreadsheet. So now let's name the first column as ID, and then we're gonna use the ticker symbol as the ID of the sheet. So now let's add another one, which is name. And then here is the price. Okay, so same again, like same concept. They all starts with add dot, just to use the values from the loop over. And this is all we need to configure for Google Sheets. I mean, here we don't need to convert into number, because Google Sheets will even handle the string or text values. So now we are done with this. So let's save it, and then we'll deploy the flow. And now let's run it. It's just the web scraper part takes more time, because it needs to load that page and get the data. But the Google Sheets or Airtable integrations, I mean, they are pretty fast, because it's just an API call that we do. So this is all the data that we got. I mean, you guys have seen this before. So now this is successful. Okay, and then if you go to the information tab, it also shows you how many rows were added. So now if we go to our sheet, so here is all the data that we got. So this is the ticker symbols, the name, and the price, and the percentage change. Um, okay, yeah. So yeah, that's how it works for the Google Sheets. And then we support number of integrations. And because, like, somebody asked me this question, like, they want to scrape an e-commerce store and export that data to WooCommerce commerce. We don't have the WooCommerce integration right now, but if you approach me and tell me like, I want to export data into WooCommerce, I mean, we can very easily add that integration. And the way Byteline is structured is that it's very easy for us to add new integrations because we don't need to make any code change. It's all just configuration. And we just designed the product in this way so that we can quickly add integrations. But at this point we are just adding integrations on need basis. So if some of our customer, if somebody comes to me and tells that I need this integration, so we add that. But like the commonly used integrations, for example, Airtable, Webflow CMS, Google Sheets, I mean those integrations are already there. Okay, so so I think that's it for the demo. So now let's go into Q&A section. So you guys can have you like if you have any question, you can ask me in the Q&A in the Zoom's Q&A section. Okay, so let me bring the spreadsheet again here. Yeah, so Peter asked, I missed the start of this. Will it be available online? Yeah, so all the people who have registered for this webinar, they will get the recording. Okay, so we'll email it either later today or tomorrow morning. Okay, Sardar is asking, loop over X URLs to scrape the same data structure from these X links. Um, I think, I guess what you're asking is if you scrape some links on the first page, now you want to use those links to scrape more data. So basically, like, you have first page. Um, okay, so let me just bring my browser back. Um, so like in this example, we have Coinbase. But see, if you click on, let me disable this extension for a minute. So now if you click on this link, it takes you to the Bitcoin price page. So I think what you are asking is, so from the first page, you want to scrape the links, and then you want to go to each link and then scrape some data from this page. So for example, maybe this description or something else. So that is possible, again using those loop over concept. And we already have users who are doing that, I mean exactly that. So the first page, so they scrape some data, get a URL from the first page, and then for each URL they get additional data from the by going by using those deep links. Okay, so I hope I have answered your question. Okay, so next question from Ken. How many sites can I scrape concurrently? Yeah, so in your web scraper configuration, I mean you configure like one site to scrape. But then I was saying earlier, actually in this case we hard coded the URL. So we basically specified that this Coinbase slash price is the URL. But you can also use variables for that URL value. So you can scrape like n number of pages just through one flow. So that is one way. Other way is you can have like multiple flows in your account, and each flow can scrape a different page. So it just depends on the use case. So you can either go with the first approach or the second approach. Okay, so the next question is from Peter. I would love to scrape data from a large WordPress blog into Airtable or directly into Webflow. Often there is pagination. Can I scrape the whole site? Yes, so we do support pagination, and it doesn't matter like how big the data is on the page. And then our infrastructure, we recently upgraded the infrastructure to make it more robust, so that even if if it's like a huge data, you are able to scrape all that. I mean, it's just going to take more time, but like, it will work. Okay. So let me see other questions. Okay, so the follow-up question from Sardar. Sometimes it is the case, sometimes the links do not come from a first level page. Can I upload links to Google Sheet, let Byteline read each link and extract data and push back to Google Sheet? Yeah, so that is possible. So what you can do is, like if you go to this flow again, so let me just create like another flow just to show you. Um, so what you can do is, if you want to first read the data, and based upon that data you want to do something, so what you can do is, as a first node you can either add like for example Google Sheets read values. Okay, so this will, you can specify the spreadsheet ID and it will get all the data from that spreadsheet, and now you can use this data in the subsequent nodes. So you can do this, or other option you have is, if your data is in Airtable, you can use Airtable get records. So the same concept, you just specify the base ID and table. A view is optional, and then whatever data is in that Airtable table, um, all that will be available as the output of this node. Okay. Yeah. So for the pagination, I mean, what I will do is, I will create like a follow-up YouTube video on pagination, and then I think that way I can show like how it works. Okay, so then there's another question: is there a lifetime deal for Byteline web scraper? So Byteline, we are just doing, it's a SaaS service, so you can go with like a monthly plan, but we don't have any like lifetime deal kind of thing. I think right now it's just monthly, but we are thinking about having like annual deals, but there's nothing like lifetime. Okay, so those were all the questions. So let me see if there is anything else that was asked earlier. Yeah, I think the other question that was asked was like, so say there is a this page, right? Sometimes what happens is some of the data is hidden. So for example, you will have a button somewhere which will say more information, and when you click on that link, then it will open up and show the more information. So now for handling that, we are adding a new feature which will be available in a week or so, where in addition to this configuration, this web scraper configuration, you can also add like when you go to this page, like this URL, you can also specify what actions you want to take before you scrape any data. So you can specify here that this is my URL, and then when you go to that URL, you click on that link, click on that more information link so that the text is visible. And then because now the text is visible, so you can also add that X path of the additional text in this configuration. Okay, so that was one question, and I think everything else has been answered. um, so yeah, thanks a lot for attending. So let me just one more thing I want to show, this Q&A, and this is just some resources. So our website is byteline.io, and the console is at console.byteline.io. And here's my email, dsing@byteline.io. So if you have any question about our services or a web scraper, just feel free to email me, and then we can maybe set up a one-on-one meeting, or however you want to do it, so we can talk more that way. And this is my Twitter handle, dps_bajna. Okay, so thanks a lot for your time, and shortly you will get the recording of this webinar. Okay. Okay, so either later today or tomorrow morning. Thank you. Thanks a lot.